There's a subtle magnetism to a coin that tells a story stretching far beyond its metal and design, and the 2001 US $1 dime does just that. This isn't a relic from an age-long past, but rather a modern creation with deep ties to tradition, a nod to enduring artistry, and a whisper of the unexpected that has caught the attention of seasoned collectors for decades. It carries with it an air of quiet rarity, not because every dime born that year carries an extraordinary error or variant, but because a small number of these coins emerged under circumstances that set them apart from their more mundane siblings. In 2001, as the new millennium was settling in, the U.S. Mint was busy refining time-honored designs to suit the modern era. The $1 dime, with its familiar and beloved portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, was produced using enhanced minting techniques that sought to replicate the crispness and character of older coins while embracing innovations of the 21st century. The design remained steeped in historical symbolism, yet it reflected a forward-looking approach. Behind the scenes, precious metals were handled with improved quality controls and cutting-edge machinery that, on occasion, produced subtle anomalies, nuances that collectors soon learned were worth noting. These anomalies, whether in the form of slight die errors, off-center strikes, or even unique luster variances, provided this modest coin with a personality well beyond its 10-cent face value. The story of the 2001 dime is not just one of manufacturing and design, but also of the intricate interplay between tradition and progress. The coin's origin lies in the U.S. Mint's commitment to balancing the respect for historical legacy with the inevitable evolution of technology. The portrait of Roosevelt, originally honed to perfection in earlier decades, was given a renewed brilliance by modern engraving techniques, resulting in a depth and clarity that turned heads at coin shows and auctions alike. For many collectors, it became less about the dollar amount minted and more about the craftsmanship and serendipity of the production process, especially when a rare mint error surfaced. Collectors have long praised the subtle differences that can exist between coins produced in exactly the same year. With the 2001 dime, it was the occasionally observed misalignment or the slight imperfection in the die strike that transformed a common coin into a coveted specimen. These minute variations can sometimes reveal themselves only under magnification or during careful examination under specialized lighting. The artistry and precision required in the minting process make these anomalies not merely mistakes, but accidental works of art. Having a 2001 dime with one of these unique markings can turn an otherwise ordinary collection piece into a standout rarity that sparks conversation and admiration among peers. One aspect that truly underlines the coin's appeal is the story of its production. Behind every strike of the minting press, there is a blend of routine and chance. In 2001, a few dimes slipped through the standard quality assurance processes with minor errors that, far from being flaws in the eyes of collectors, became points of pride. Over time, these coins have been documented at auctions where experienced collectors vied for them with the same passion that once reserved exclusive circles for gold or silver pieces. Auction records from reputable coin dealers have occasionally noted that a pristine 2001 dime in its mint set, displaying one of these subtle anomalies, has fetched several times its normal value. Reports suggest that in some cases a coin that would normally be worth only a dime has commanded bids upward of $75 to $150 when the error is confirmed and the condition is top-notch. Market value can be an intriguing aspect of any coin story, particularly when assessing how condition plays into rarity. For the 2001 dime, a coin in perfect mint condition, often graded by professional services as mint state 70 or higher, can command a premium well above its circulated counterparts. Collectors recognize that even a small burr or slight wear can detract from the coin's inherent charm when its rarity is based on subtle differences. The polished finish, sharp detail, and preserved luster are all key factors. As coins pass through the hands of collectors, some might accept slight imperfections as a sign of history lived, yet others prize perfection and are willing to invest significantly more in a coin that has maintained every detail as it left the mint. In this way, a coin like the 2001 dime can be both a sentimental token and a sound investment, its value measured both in its monetary worth and its place in the annals of modern minting. Intriguing anecdotes add color to the legacy of the 2001 dime. One seasoned collector recalls a time when an ostensibly ordinary coin inherited from a family member was discovered during routine cleaning of an old collection. Under closer inspection, the coin exhibited a rare off-center strike, a deviation from the norm so subtle that it might have been overlooked by a casual observer. That coin, once regraded and authenticated, became a cherished centerpiece of an already impressive collection and spurred a small but growing interest in similar modern dimes from that year. Stories like these offer a glimpse into how moments of serendipity can redefine the value of a coin, transforming everyday currency into a treasured rarity that tells a layered story of passion, luck, and historical significance. The 2001 dime is also an excellent example of how a coin's value can vary dramatically based on its condition. Coins that remain in their original, uncirculated state, often preserved in protective holders or as part of a coveted mint set, tend to be in high demand among serious numismatists. In contrast, those that have been in everyday use, carrying the marks of time and handling, are less likely to command the same premium, regardless of how rare their anomalies might be. Even within the mint state category, there is a spectrum. Coins graded as MS-65 might be highly desirable, but those in near-perfect condition, such as MS-68 or above, are especially prized. The condition-based differentiation underscores a critical point for collectors. A coin's story is not solely about its design or rarity, but also about the care it has received over the decades, a detail that speaks volumes about its journey from factory to collector's shelf. Beyond market trends and grading reports, the allure of the 2001 U.S. one dime lies in its ability to bridge the gap between the modern era and the storied past of American coinage. There is something remarkably compelling about a coin that carries forward a design legacy while simultaneously embracing the possibilities of a new century. Every time a collector holds one of these dimes, they are reminded of the precision and care that goes into producing something that might otherwise be taken for granted. It is not just a piece of currency, it is an artifact that embodies the evolution of minting technology, the legacy of a revered president, and the unpredictable magic that can occur when routine production meets the extraordinary. As we pause at this juncture, the tale of the 2001 U.S. one dime leaves a lingering impression, a blend of modern precision and accidental rarity that makes it an enduring piece of numismatic art. Its story is one of transformation, where a seemingly everyday object transcends ordinary boundaries and becomes a cherished artifact. With every glance at its crisp details and every careful handling that preserves its pristine condition, this coin continues to whisper stories of innovation, tradition, and the sheer serendipity that defines the world of collectibles. Now, let's step back a few decades to a coin that's lived through one of the most pivotal transitions in U.S. currency history, the 1965 U.S. one dime. This little silver-colored coin might not jump out at you in a handful of change, but to collectors, it marks the end of an era and the beginning of something entirely new. What makes the 1965 dime especially fascinating is that it sits at the crossroads of two important periods in American coinage. It's not just about what it became, it's about what it replaced, and how that shift created opportunities for some truly remarkable rarities. In 1965, the U.S. Mint was in a tough spot. The rising value of silver meant that the cost of producing coins was quickly outpacing their face value. This wasn't just a budgeting issue, it was starting to disrupt the whole currency system. People were hoarding coins for their metal content, particularly dimes, quarters, and half-dollars, which were still made of 90% silver at the time. So the Mint made a bold decision. Starting in 1965, they would remove silver entirely from dimes and quarters, replacing it with a copper-nickel-clad composition that would look the same but be far cheaper to produce. The 1965 dime became the very first of this new generation, a coin that looked familiar, but was fundamentally different in substance. And here's where things get interesting. Any major transition like this inevitably brings with it a bit of chaos. The Mint had already struck a number of 1964 dated coins in silver, and to avoid adding to the hoarding frenzy, they continued producing 1964 coins well into 1965. As a result, the lines between years got a little blurry. In this confusion, a small number of dimes were struck using leftover 90% silver planchets, blank coins, meant for the prior year. That means there are 1,965 dimes out there that were mistakenly made of silver instead of the new copper-nickel blend. These are the true treasures. They're nearly indistinguishable to the casual eye, but to an experienced collector, they're a needle in the haystack worth hunting for. Identifying one of these rare silver 1965 dimes isn't necessarily about what you see, it's often about what you weigh. A standard clad dime weighs about 2.27 grams, while a 90% silver dime weighs a touch more at around 2.5 grams. That slight difference is one of the key giveaways, especially if the coin otherwise looks completely ordinary. Under close inspection, some silver 1965 dimes also show different toning or a more muted, matte-like luster compared to their clad counterparts. It's subtle, but to the trained eye, it's there. Because of how few were accidentally struck, these coins are considered extremely rare, and any confirmed silver 1965 dime is an immediate centerpiece for any serious U.S. collection. Over the years, these silver 1965 dimes have shown up at auctions and dealer showcases, creating quite the buzz when they do. One of the most notable sales occurred when a high-grade silver specimen, certified by a leading grading service, sold for over $9,000. That's a jaw-dropping price for a dime, but given its rarity, historical context, and the sheer oddity of its creation, it's not entirely surprising. Another example, slightly more worn but still verified as silver, went for around $3,500. These aren't just coins, they're accidents of history, frozen in metal. Even among the copper-nickel clad 1965 dimes, condition plays a massive role in value. The early years of clad coinage weren't always the cleanest in terms of strike quality, and many 1965 dimes come with weak details or surface blemishes. A well-struck, uncirculated 1965 dime with full torch bands, the horizontal lines on the torch on the reverse, is a rare find in itself and can fetch upwards of $50 to $100, even without any silver content. That's a big leap from face value, and it highlights how much collectors value quality and detail, especially in transitional year coins. Beyond rarity and value, the 1965 dime also comes with some fascinating stories. During the mid-60s, coin collecting was reaching a fever pitch. The mint even had to halt the production of proof sets in 1965 through 1967 to keep up with general circulation demand. That means number 1965 dimes were officially released in proof sets, making high-quality examples even scarcer. What this also means is that many coins from that year had to survive the rigors of everyday use. If you come across a 1965 dime in pristine condition today, it likely spent the majority of its life in a roll, a mint set, or tucked away by someone who instinctively knew it was something worth keeping. A coin like this invites reflection. It's not flashy at first glance, but it represents a dramatic shift, one that reshaped how U.S. coins were made for generations to come. Collectors who lived through that era often remember the changeover clearly, silver coins slowly disappearing from circulation, the sound of a new coin ringing just a little different when it hit the counter. That metallic difference, subtle but unmistakable, became a symbol of change, and for many collectors today, the 1965 dime still echoes that shift every time it's pulled from a box or album. Condition, again, makes all the difference. A 1965 dime pulled from a pocket in 1970 and carried for years will likely show all the signs of life: scratches, worn edges, dulled surfaces. That same dime, if pulled fresh from a mint set and carefully stored, might retain every bit of its detail: sharp lettering, defined flames on the torch, and a bright, undisturbed surface. Those coins, especially if they're hiding an unexpected composition like silver, are where things get really exciting. Even circulated silver 1965 dimes can command several $100s, while a well-preserved example, authenticated and graded, might easily break into the four-figure territory. And let's not forget the emotional connection some collectors have with coins from this era. For many in the 40 to 60-year-old range, the 1965 dime may have been among the first coins they ever set aside, perhaps in a childhood collection started with a parent or grandparent. Finding one again today, especially a rare version, feels like discovering a long-lost treasure. That nostalgia, coupled with the coin's historical weight, adds a richness that goes beyond monetary value. When you line it up next to the 2001 dime, the 1965 version offers a fascinating contrast. One is a story of modern anomalies, the other is a product of economic necessity and national change. But both hold their ground in the collector world for the same reason: they take something ordinary and make it unforgettable. Whether it's the faint trace of silver where it shouldn't be or a rare mint-state finish that survived 5 decades, these coins continue to capture the imagination of those who know where to look. Together, these two dimes show that you don't need a century-old gold piece to find something rare and meaningful. Sometimes, it's the everyday coin, the kind you might overlook, that ends up telling the most powerful story.